Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us here at Live the Light Ministries, where we teach you the habits necessary to transform yourself so you can go and transform the world. Well, another year is upon us, and with that come 365 chances to make this world a better place to live in. But as we approach the new year, we naturally begin asking those questions. What potential does this new year hold? What can I do to make it the best year ever? And as a response to those questions, we often make those promises that we never keep, called New Year's resolutions. And if you've seen one New Year's resolution video or read one New Year's resolution blog, you have probably saw and read them all. We know the common things we hear, right? I want to lose this many pounds this year. I want to put away this much money. I want to make this many friends. Now, those things aren't bad. In fact, they're good. You need them to have a flourishing life. And I will be talking about them in a future video on this channel. But I believe that for the Christian, there are some other New Year's resolutions that really bring some power to their lives. And it's those New Year's resolutions I want to talk about with you today. So for the next few minutes, I want to share with you 5 New Year's resolutions that Christians should be making every year. Let's get started. Resolution number 1. Ask yourself, who do you want to become this year? For as beautiful as the gospel is in Christianity, it is not the only thing that Christianity has to offer. I think Max Lucado said it best. Christianity is not just interested in getting you to heaven, it is also interested in getting heaven into you. In other words, we are to become holy because the God that we serve is holy. Now, many Christians make that mistake, and they think that holiness or character formation, as I like to call it, they think it's automatic. They think that the moment they became Christian, just bada bing, bada boom, all magical, they will immediately become Christ-like. But that's not really what the Bible teaches. It is in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8, where we find out that if you want to grow in holiness, you gotta train in godliness, right? Just like with the body, you gotta pump some iron. If you want to get those muscles, well, you gotta pump some spiritual iron if you want to grow in godliness. And so every year, a Christian should ask themselves, what virtue do I want to intentionally practice? And then start coming up with some exercises to do that. For example, this year, I want to be more of a peaceful person. I can get angry pretty easy at the smallest of things. I don't want that for me. And so I'm intentionally practicing patience. I'm putting myself in the slow lane on the highway. I am purposefully choosing the long line at the grocery store because by doing that, I have to exercise patience and peace. How do you want to grow this year? And what can you do to make sure you become that kind of person? That's our first resolution. Number 2, the second resolution you should make every year is what skill do you want to have? When God made you, He said you were fearfully and wonderfully made. But He did not say you were complete. You still had some growing to do. You had not yet reached your potential. It's in Matthew 25 that we see Jesus teach us the parable of the talents. And in that parable we learn that He gave talents to His servants. And if they used those talents, not only were they called faithful servants, but they actually got more talents. And so every year you should ask yourself, what skill can I grow in that will make my life better and will help me serve the world? For me, the skill this year is I want to learn how to cook. And I know that sounds weird, but I really want to practice being healthy. I want to live a more physically active lifestyle. I want to lose the weight that I have. And that is hard to do if you don't know how to cook correctly. And so for me to invest in myself so I have the energy to invest in the world, I want to learn to cook this year. What about you? I had a church member one year decide that she wanted to learn how to repair small engines so that she could take care of her own little homestead. I've had members want to learn how to speak another language so they can minister to other people. I've even had people go and learn the guitar, the flute, the violin, so that they could serenade themselves and their significant other with music and just bring joy to their lives. What skill do you want this year? How do you want to invest in yourself so you can go and invest in the world? That's the second resolution. The third resolution I want you to ask yourself is this. What do I want to experience this year? You know, with some Christians, you hear them talk or watch the way they act, and you think that Christianity was all just doom and gloom. It would be like self-loathing was a spiritual gift or something, right? I've met some Christians before where I sincerely wonder if they've ever laughed a day before in their life. You know, Christianity and godly living isn't this ball and chain that we carry with us. Life is meant to be enjoyed. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon himself said that the most happy thing in life is learning to eat, to drink, to work, and to live with joy. And that's saying something, because in Ecclesiastes, this is the book where he says vanity of vanity, all is vanity. But he says in there that you shouldn't walk around depressed. You should experience things in life that bring you joy. You see, when you have experiences in life, it makes you a more interesting person. It gives you more wisdom to draw off of. It helps you to be more relatable. You can be more friendly and connect with more people because you've experienced more things. I can tell as a church pastor, when I go and I visit with people in their home, the ones who have more experiences to share, I'm interested in them. I want to hear about their lives. I want them to tell me their stories because as they relay their experiences, it's like I'm vicariously living through them. But why vicariously live through someone else when you can live those experiences yourself? What do you want to experience this year that will bring you joy, will bring you wisdom, and will bring goodness to your life? Me? I want to experience two things. Number one, I want to experience a 7-course meal. I know that sounds weird. It sounds weird to me even saying it. But I really want to take my wife out for our anniversary, sit down at some fancy restaurant, and just experience a lovely, musically serenaded 7-course meal. It is something I've always wanted to do, and it's just something I want to experience this year. The second thing I want to do is I want to experience what it's like to give a stand-up comedy routine, right? I love laughing. I love making people laugh. I think I'm hilarious. Not everyone agrees with me, but I think I'm funny, and I love to watch people smile. I love knowing I brought joy to them, and I've always wondered if I could take those skills of pastoring and preaching and maybe translate them to a 5 or 10-minute comedy sketch. And so this year I want to work up the nerve and the courage to just go to some comedy house and give a 5 to 10-minute clean comedy sketch. Will it be good? I don't know. But it's going to be an experience of a lifetime. So that's what I want to do this year. What experience do you want to have? However, as we come up with our New Year's resolutions, as Christians, we don't just want to invest in ourselves. I began this video by telling you that here at Live the Light Ministries, our goal is to teach you the habits necessary to change your life so you can go and change the world. And so these last two resolutions, I want to focus on what you can do to have an impact on the world around you. The fourth resolution I want you to think is this. How can I serve this year? I am fully convinced that God has put a special mission into every single person's heart. And he gave you the special gifts necessary to accomplish that mission. And so God wants you to be actively serving him in a way that brings you happiness and brings change to this world. So ask yourself, what are your skills? And how can you serve other people with them this year? Can you volunteer at Meals on Wheels? Can you help out your church to pass out books or pass out food? Could you go to an elderly person and mow their lawn or weed their garden? Anything you can do, ask yourself, how can I serve this world? Because whenever you serve, you are relieving this world of suffering, and you are bringing back to it the kindness the people have always deserved. So the fourth resolution this year, how can you serve the world? And lastly, we'll close with this fifth resolution. This year, who can you witness to? As Christians, we are caretakers of the most beautiful truth that mankind has ever known, and that truth is the gospel. It is the reality that God sent his only Son to this earth to pay the penalty for our sin, that if we trust in him, we will not perish, but have everlasting life. But unfortunately, there are many lost people in this world who have not yet accepted that gospel. And even more heartbreaking, there are very few people in this world who are willing to share the gospel. And Jesus tells us in Matthew 9 that we are to pray to the Lord of the harvest to send workers into the harvest, because the harvest was plentiful, but the workers were few. And I found in my own life that as I pray that prayer, that God just doesn't call other people, God also calls me. So who in your life can you witness to this year? Do you have friends, family, co-workers, people in your community, your neighbors, whom you can share the gospel with? Because remember, by doing this, you do not just bring them life on earth, you bring them life for eternity. So those are my 5 resolutions I want you to challenge yourself with this year. As a Christian, I want you to ask yourself, how can you grow this year? I want you to ask yourself, who can you become? What skill do you want to obtain? And what experience do you want to have? But then I want you to take your mind and focus on other people as well. How can you serve the world this year? And how can you witness for the gospel? My friends, thank you for joining me today. I pray that you have a wonderful year coming up, that you continue to change yourself so that you may change the world. Take care, my friends, and thank you for joining us here at Live the Light Ministries. May you always be a light to the world. Take care.